Every trial and every case has a story. One of the biggest stories that I ever had the opportunity to be involved in was in connection with a motorcycle accident happened in South Carolina with a United States Air Force bus. My client was traveling north on US 17. The bus was turning left from the beach. Apparently the group of Air Force cadets had decided that they're going to go to the beach that day. It was dusk. The bus was Air Force blue. It made a left-hand turn right in front of my client. They never saw him. He hit it. He and his passenger went flying. Unfortunately, the motorcycle caught on fire, burned his chest. He hit his head, skidded down the road, and was hit with such force, both of them, that they lost their personal belongings, and they lost their wallet, and she lost her purse. They were taken immediately to the Myrtle Beach Hospital where they were treated, and then Mr. Looper, who was badly injured, was helivaced down to Charleston Hospital. We started investigating this case, and we were bringing suit against the United States Air Force, who was defended by the entire United States government. And it was their position that, well, my client had been drinking, had been on cocaine, and was speeding, and what the heck were we doing suing the United States Air Force with a case like that? In connection with my client, we discussed this matter, and no, he had not been drinking. He might have had a couple of beers earlier in the day, and a lot of people say that. And no, he does not use cocaine, and he was not speeding. We then started investigating the case. We took a look at the medical records out of Myrtle Beach, and these two people, the passenger and the driver of the motorcycle, were so badly injured, and the people didn't know who they were because they lost their identities, came into the hospital known as Jane Doe and John Doe. The blood alcohol on John Doe was there. It was positive for alcohol, and so was traces of supposed cocaine found later on in Charleston after the helivac. We started investigating this. We found out that the test results from Charleston showed no alcohol whatsoever, and although it did show traces of cocaine, my client swore on a stack of Bibles he had not taken any opioids that day, period, the end. We started investigating what happened at the hospital, and you know what happened? Jane Doe, John Doe, and a lot of other Jane Doe, John Does that went into the hospital that Friday, the blood alcohol and the vials were mixed up. We then looked at the Charleston results. It showed no alcohol, and there would be no way he could go from supposedly 1.7 to 0 inside of an hour and a half. But there was still the cocaine. We hired an expert to take a look at all the billings and the reports. And our expert said, you know, I bet you $1,000 that if you get all of the medical reports from the Myrtle Beach Hospital, you will find that somebody, without the orders of a doctor, because your client was in so much pain, gave him a shot of morphine to help him out. Sure enough, after we got all of the medical records, we got all the billings, there was a $8 charge for a shot of morphine. So that proved my client was not on alcohol, and he did not use cocaine just like he stated. But the government still said, well, we don't believe all of that. You're going to have to prove it in court. We're not giving you the dime. And oh, by the way, he was speeding. So we had to then depose everybody on the bus, and they worked for the United States Air Force. They were all over the world. We took their depositions. They hid two of the witnesses, the driver and the person who was behind the driver, and never allowed us to depose him because he was always on assignment in Alaska or the Philippines or some doggone place. And at trial, we finally found out the truth. We put the driver on the stand. He said it was a busy night. I couldn't get across the road. The traffic was going back and forth. There wasn't a stoplight. And the guys in the back of the bus had been waiting so long they started chanting, "Go, go, go." There was a sergeant in the front of the bus who looked north while he was supposed to look south, the driver. The sergeant said that it's clear. The driver forgot to look south. He pulled out and boom, it happened. His testimony was, I probably should have looked south. I think I did. I'm not sure. Well, we found the other witness who was behind him that day, who happened to be a person who trains people in bus driving. And he was right behind the seat of the driver that day. I asked him, how do you train your drivers? Do you train them to look to the right and then to the left and then to the left one last time? He goes, yeah, that's what we train the people to do. That's the way you're supposed to operate a bus. I said, did you look right and did you look left? He said, yes, I did. I said, did you see the motorcycle? He said, yes, I did. I asked him, if you were driving the bus that day when this accident happened, and he had to tell the truth, he had to say no. It wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have attempted to cross the road. We fought over damages, and that's a whole nother long story. But in the end, when you sue the government, you don't get a jury. You only get a federal judge who's hired by the federal government to make a decision as to whether or not the federal government did something wrong. The proof in the case was so strong that even the federal judge from South Carolina decided in our favor and ultimately awarded us $2.75 million. It was a long battle. It was an extensive battle. They claimed we were drinking. We proved them wrong. They claimed we were on cocaine. We proved them wrong. They claimed we were speeding. They were wrong. 2 years of litigation, hard work, never giving up, digging in, resulted in a $2.75 million verdict, which was in fact paid by the United States government. Lots more about ins and outs in connection with that case, and I can talk about it at a different time.